This actually happened to me. I'm sharing it because maybe it'll help someone else see the signs I ignored for too long. I found the hotel key card in her coat pocket on a Tuesday morning in February. Crumpled between a CVS receipt and a stick of gum. The Embassy Suites on West 43rd Street in Manhattan, room 817. Check-in date stamped 3 days ago, the same night she told me she was working late at the firm. My hand shook as I held that little piece of plastic standing in our Brooklyn brownstone that we'd bought together 5 years ago. The morning light coming through the kitchen window making everything look normal when nothing would ever be normal again. If you genuinely enjoy our stories, please subscribe to the channel. Tell us where you're from. It's what time it is. Right now it's always fascinating to know how far our story flows. My name is David. I'm 38 years old. I work as a project manager for a construction company in Queens. My wife Sarah is a corporate lawyer at a mid-sized firm in Midtown. We met at Columbia 11 years ago, married for 8, no kids yet, because she always said the timing wasn't right. Her career was at a critical point, just one more year. I believed every word because I loved her. Because when you love someone, you trust them with the most fragile parts of yourself. I stood there in our kitchen, that key card burning in my palm, and my first thought wasn't anger, it was confusion. Maybe she needed a quiet place to work on a case. Maybe a client stayed there and left it behind. The human mind does incredible gymnastics to avoid pain. I slipped the card into my wallet and went to work, the weight of it heavier than anything I'd ever carried. That night, Sarah came home at 9:30. She kissed my cheek, the same casual kiss she'd given me 1,000 times, and asked what was for dinner. I'd made chicken parmesan her favorite. We ate at our small dining table and I watched her scroll through her phone between bites. Laughing at something, her face lit up in a way I hadn't seen directed at me in months. Long day? I asked, exhausting, she said, not looking up. The Morrison case is killing me. Did you have to stay at the office late? Till about 8? You know how it is. She was lying. The key card proved she was lying. But I said nothing. I just nodded and cleared the plates while she disappeared into our bedroom to change. When I followed her and 20 minutes later, she was already in bed, her back to my side, earbuds in, watching something on her iPad. I lay next to my wife that night, separated by 18 inches of mattress that felt like a canyon, and I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that key card. Embassy Suites, room 817. I imagined her there with someone else, laughing, touching, doing things that were supposed to be ours alone. The images tortured me until dawn. The next 2 weeks were strange. I started noticing things I'd dismissed before. How she angled her phone away from me when texting. How she started going to the gym at odd hours, coming back showered and glowing. How she bought new lingerie I never saw her wear at home. How our sex life, already diminishing, had completely flatlined. We hadn't been intimate in 7 weeks, I'd counted. Are we okay? I asked her one Saturday morning over coffee. She looked at me with those green eyes I'd fallen in love with in a lecture hall a decade ago, of course. Why? You seem distant. I'm stressed. David. Work is insane right now. You know that? She made me feel guilty for even asking. That's what cheaters do. They turn your reasonable concerns into your personal failings. They make you apologize for their crimes. I started paying attention, really paying attention. She had patterns now. Late nights on Tuesdays and Thursdays, long lunches on Wednesdays that stretched past 3 hours, weekend errands that took half the day. She was careful, but not careful enough. Cheaters always think they're smarter than they are. On a Thursday in early March, I left work early and drove to her firm's building on Lexington Avenue near Grand Central. I parked across the street in a garage and waited. At 6:15, Sarah walked out of the building, but she didn't head toward the subway. She walked 3 blocks north and entered a bar called the Campbell inside Grand Central Terminal itself. I followed at a distance, my heart hammering. Through the window, I saw her sit at a table in the back. 5 minutes later, a man joined her. He was tall, probably 6'2", with dark hair graying at the temples, wearing an expensive suit. They greeted each other with a familiarity that made my stomach turn. He touched her hand. She smiled at him the way she used to smile at me. I couldn't go in. I couldn't confront them. I stood on 43rd Street in the cold March wind, watching my wife with another man, and I felt something inside me crack. Not break crack. Like ice on a lake when the temperature shifts, spiderwebbing out in all directions, ready to shatter completely with one more step. I drove home and sat in our living room in the dark. She came back at 10-40-5, breezing in with shopping bags from Bloomingdale's. "Sorry I'm late," she said. "Stopped to grab a few things." "How was work?" "Brutal." She disappeared into the bedroom. I wanted to scream. I wanted to grab her and demand the truth, but something stopped me. Some instinct told me that confrontation now would only put her on guard. She'd deny everything, delete evidence, lawyer up literally. No, if I was going to do this, I needed to be smart. I needed proof. I needed leverage. The next day, I called in sick to work and went to a surveillance equipment store in Chinatown. I bought a voice-activated recorder, small enough to hide anywhere. That night, while Sarah showered, I placed it under the passenger seat of her car. A silver Audi A4 we'd bought her last year for making partner. I also installed tracking software on an old iPad we never used and logged into our shared iCloud account. Suddenly, I could see every text, every photo, every location. The technology to catch a cheater has never been easier, and yet people still cheat like they're invisible. I found destroyed me. Texts to a number saved as Rick opposing counsel. Thousands of messages going back 6 months. They weren't discussing legal strategy. They were discussing when and where they could meet, what hotel they preferred, how much they missed each other's bodies, how difficult it was to pretend around their respective spouses. His name was Richard Kellerman. He was a partner at a rival firm, married with 2 kids in Westchester. He's 45 years old. I looked him up on LinkedIn, and he looked exactly like the man I'd seen her with at the Campbell. He was everything I wasn't: polished, wealthy, connected. The kind of man who wore cufflinks and summered in the Hamptons. The messages were graphic, humiliating. She said things to him she'd never said to me. She described their encounters in detail, where he'd touched her, what she'd done to him, how alive he made her feel. She called me boring in one message, said I was safe but not exciting, said our marriage was comfortable but dead. I read everything while sitting in my car during lunch breaks, parked in a lot near my job site in Long Island City, tears streaming down my face. Each message was a knife. But I saved them all. Screenshots, backups, cloud storage. The voice recorder in her car captured even more. Conversations with him while she drove to meet him. Phone calls where they planned their next rendezvous. Her laughing and calling him baby, honey, love. Words she barely used with me anymore. On March 22nd, the recorder caught them in her car after an afternoon meeting. I won't repeat what I heard, but it confirmed everything. They'd been sleeping together since September, 6 months of lies. She talked about maybe leaving me eventually, but not yet. She wasn't ready to blow up her life. Said he wasn't ready to leave his wife either, too expensive, too complicated with the kids. They were comfortable in their affair, having their cake and eating it too. I listened to my wife betray me in high-definition audio, and something fundamental changed in me. The cracking ice finally shattered. The man I'd been, the loyal, trusting, faithful husband, fell through into dark water. What climbed out was someone else, someone colder, someone capable of things I'd never imagined. I stopped confronting her. I stopped asking questions. I became the perfect, oblivious husband. I smiled. I cooked dinner. I asked about her day. I gave her no reason to suspect I knew. And while I played my part, I planned. First, I copied everything. Every text, every photo, every GPS location from the tracking app, showing her at various hotels across Manhattan, the Empire, on West 63rd, the refinery on West 38th, that Embassy Suites where the keycard had started this nightmare. I compiled it all into organized folders with dates and times. I created a timeline of her affair. It was meticulous, damning. Second, I consulted a divorce attorney. Not Sarah's firm. They were too connected. I found a shark named Patricia Winters, who operated out of an office near Battery Park. She was in her 50s, ruthless, and when I showed her my evidence, she smiled like a wolf. New York is a no-fault state, she explained. But this kind of documentation helps tremendously with asset division and spousal support. Does she know you're aware? No, good. Keep it that way. Let her feel secure. Meanwhile, I need you to document every asset, every account, every investment. Can you do that? I could. I spent weeks cataloging our life together. The brownstone we owned jointly, worth about $1.2 million. Our savings accounts, investment portfolios, retirement funds, her partnership stake in the firm, everything we'd built together, everything she was willing to throw away for hotel room encounters with a married man who'd never leave his wife for her. Third, I contacted Richard Kellerman's wife. I found her on Facebook. Her name was Jennifer. She looked kind. Her profile full of pictures of their kids at soccer games and school plays. I created an anonymous email account and sent her everything. Every text between her husband and my wife. Every hotel record I could access. Every piece of evidence showing that, while she was home raising his children, he was sleeping with my wife in Manhattan hotel rooms on the company dime. I didn't expect a response, but 3 days later I got one. Thank you for telling me. I suspected but had no proof. You've given me what I need. Her words were brief, but I could feel the pain between them. We were casualties of the same war, her and I collateral damage in our spouse's selfish pursuit of pleasure. Fourth, I waited for the perfect moment. It came on April 18th. Sarah's firm was hosting a gala at the Plaza Hotel, a big fundraising event for some legal charity. She'd been talking about it for weeks, excited, planning her outfit. Partners and clients and judges would be there. Everyone who mattered in her professional world. She bought a new dress, black and elegant, spent $200 getting her hair done. She looked beautiful getting ready that evening, and I told her so. She kissed my cheek absently, checking her reflection one more time. You look amazing, I said. You're lucky to have you. Thanks, babe. She grabbed her clutch. Don't wait up. These things go late. I knew why she didn't want me to wait up. The gala ended at 10, but she wouldn't be home until after midnight. Because after the event, she and Richard had a room booked at the plaza itself. Room 1204. The tracker on her phone had shown me the reservation confirmation email. Have fun, I told her. She left at 6:30. I waited exactly 15 minutes, then I got in my car and drove to Westchester. To the address I'd found for Richard Kellerman, a beautiful colonial house in Scarsdale with a manicured lawn and a basketball hoop in the driveway. Jennifer Kellerman answered the door, looked tired, older than her pictures. We'd been corresponding anonymously for weeks, planning. David, she asked. Jennifer, come in. Her kids were at her mother's. We sat in her living room, surrounded by evidence of a family life photos on the mantel, toys in the corner, a half-finished puzzle on the coffee table. She'd already filed for divorce. Her attorney was as ruthless as mine. Are you ready? She asked. We'd coordinated everything. While Sarah and Richard enjoyed their gala and anticipated their night together, Jennifer and I drove into Manhattan. We arrived at the plaza at 9:30 and checked into our own room on the same floor. Room 1218, 14 doors down from their reservation. At 11:15, Sarah and Richard entered the hotel together. I watched from the end of the hallway as they stumbled toward room 1204, drunk and laughing, his hands all over her. They'd barely made it inside before the door closed. Jennifer and I waited 30 minutes. Then we knocked. Richard answered, shirtless, annoyed. What? His face went white when he saw his wife. Hi, honey, Jennifer said, her voice ice. Sarah appeared behind him, wrapped in a hotel robe, her face cycling through confusion to recognition to absolute horror. David, her voice cracked. Hey, Sarah, what is this? This, I said calmly, is the end. Jennifer pushed past Richard into the room. I followed. Sarah backed away, clutching the robe. You've been following me? Sarah's shock turned to anger. That's insane, David. That's 6 months, I interrupted. September 24th was your first hotel visit. The Peninsula. You told me you were at a work retreat in Connecticut. You've slept with him 43 times since then. 17 different hotels. You spent approximately $8,000 on lingerie, Ubers, and hotels using our joint credit card. You've told him you love him 16 times in text messages. You've never once told him you're planning to leave me. The room went silent. Richard looked like he might vomit. Sarah's face drained of all color. How she whispered, You weren't as careful as you thought. Jennifer was on her phone, taking pictures of the room, the champagne. Their clothes scattered across the floor. Evidence for her divorce. Get out, Richard said weakly. You're trespassing. Call the cops, I said. Please. I'd love to explain to them why we're here, and maybe show them the recordings of you two discussing your affair. I'm sure the plaza would love to know how you've been using their rooms." Sarah started crying. Not the delicate tears she used when she wanted sympathy. Ugly, desperate crying. "David, please, we can talk about this. We can work through this." "There's nothing to work through, Sarah. I filed for divorce 3 days ago. You'll be served on Monday at your office, in front of your colleagues. You can't, I can't, and I have. Patricia Winters is my attorney. You know her reputation." Sarah absolutely knew Patricia's reputation. She went even paler. "Everything is documented," I continued. "Every lie, every hotel, every text message. Your affair partner is married, which looks wonderful for a corporate lawyer. I'm sure the ethics board will be fascinated. You wouldn't watch me." Jennifer had finished taking photos. "Should go," she said to me, looked at Richard with pure contempt. "Enjoy explaining this to our children. My attorney will be in touch." We left them there, shocked and speechless. Jennifer and I walked down the hallway of the Plaza Hotel like we were leaving a business meeting. Calm, controlled. In the elevator, she started shaking. "Are you okay?" I asked. "I don't know. Are you?" "No." We sat in the hotel bar for an hour. Two strangers bound by betrayal, and talked about everything except our spouses. When we parted ways in the lobby, she hugged me. "Thank you," she whispered, "for giving me the truth. Thank you for believing me." Sarah called my phone 47 times that night. I didn't answer. She showed up at our brownstone at 2 in the morning, but I'd changed the locks earlier that week. She pounded on the door, screaming, begging. I sat inside, listening, feeling nothing. By Monday morning, the story had spread through her firm. Someone at the gala had seen them leaving together. Someone else had heard about the confrontation. Legal communities are small. Gossip travels fast. When the process server delivered the divorce papers to her office at 10 a.m., half the firm already knew why. Sarah's carefully constructed professional life began to crumble. Partners at her firm didn't appreciate the scandal. Clients didn't want their cases handled by someone whose judgment was so publicly questionable. Richard Kellerman's firm forced him to take a leave of absence. His wife was ruthless in her divorce, and the New York legal community watched the spectacle with fascination. Sarah tried everything to stop it. She sent me letters. Hundreds of texts showed up everywhere I might be. She promised it meant nothing, that she loved me, that we could get counseling. She blamed stress, blamed Richard for pursuing her, blamed me for not noticing she was unhappy. She hired an expensive attorney who tried to paint me as controlling and vindictive. But my evidence was ironclad. Every text message, every GPS location, every voice recording. Her attorney advised her to settle. The divorce took 4 months. I got the brownstone. She had to buy out my half of her partnership stake, which required her to take a substantial loan. I got favorable terms on asset division because New York judges, even in no-fault divorces, consider conduct when determining equitable distribution. Her affair, conducted brazenly and documented thoroughly, didn't help her case. By August, it was over. Sarah moved to a small apartment in Astoria. Her reputation in the legal community never recovered. She eventually left her firm and took a job at a smaller practice in New Jersey. Richard Kellerman's divorce was even uglier. His wife took him for everything, and his career never bounced back. I sold the brownstone. Too many memories. I moved to a loft in Williamsburg, started over. Friends asked if I was okay, if I regretted how I'd handled it, if maybe I'd been too harsh. Too harsh? She'd spent 6 months lying to my face, sleeping with another man, spending our money on hotels and lingerie for him, planning a future where she'd eventually leave me when it was convenient. She'd made me feel crazy for suspecting, guilty for questioning, small for noticing her distance. No, I wasn't too harsh. I was exact. People think revenge is hot anger, explosive confrontation, screaming matches. Real revenge is cold. It's methodical. It's patient. It's gathering evidence while you smile and cook dinner. It's watching your target feel safe while you build the trap. It's waiting for the perfect moment when they're at their most vulnerable, then executing with precision. I gave Sarah exactly what she gave, me betrayal, humiliation, and loss. The difference is, she earned it. Sometimes late at night, I think about that key card I found in her coat pocket, that little piece of plastic that started everything. I kept it. It sits in my desk drawer, A reminder that truth always surfaces eventually, that secrets have weight, that lies have consequences. Sarah texted me last month. "I'm sorry," was all it said. I didn't respond. There's nothing left to say. She destroyed what we had for momentary pleasure with a man who was using her the same way she was using me, as an escape from reality, a fantasy with no future. Now she has to live in the reality she created. Smaller apartment, a diminished career, a reputation that will follow her through the tight-knit legal world. Every time she sees a colleague from her old firm, she'll remember. Every time she goes to a legal conference or bar association event, people will whisper. That's the thing about public scandals. They don't fade. They linger. I rebuilt my life, dating again, carefully. I trust differently now, knowing what I know about human nature's capacity for deception. I'm not bitter. Bitterness is what happens when you swallow your pain. I didn't swallow mine. I weaponized it. Would I do it again the same way? Absolutely. Sometimes the only response to calculated cruelty is calculated justice. I see her sometimes across the city. New York is big, but certain circles are small. She looks older now, worn down by the weight of consequences. Our eyes met once, on a subway platform in Union Square. She looked away first. Good. I don't wish her happiness or suffering. I don't wish her anything at all. She's become what she always was to me in the end. A stranger who once knew my secrets, who once shared my bed, who once promised forever and delivered betrayal. The only difference now is that I'm the stranger who knew her secrets too, who watched and waited and remembered everything, who understood that in the arithmetic of justice, you reap precisely what you sow. The end.